here's my viewpoint in depth with that. Maybe not right into at that when the invasion happened. Definitely would happen after. I think for the Undertaker's thing to do the what if kind of thing, and I think it has been after. That's just my viewpoint. But it'd be kind of cool to see him in the invasion, but not have a big interaction with Undertaker if I was to bring him at that time frame. But one of the things, in some ways, I wish he never had been in WWE, and in some ways not. And the reason why I say not, it's been kind of cool. The only guy to be a superstar without going to WWE. So,
yeah, he didn't need them.
No, he didn't need them at all, and they didn't really do anything for him as far as, didn't win. The WrestleMania match was decent. I didn't even watch. I think I watched a little bit of his match with Seth Rollins. I didn't even totally go along with that match, but that was good for Seth. That was it. But other than that, it didn't make a whole lot. We all knew he wasn't going to win anyways. But
So when it comes to Sting, I kind of agree with you to keep him and Undertaker separate for a while because that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So keep it apart.
Yeah.
But I would have him constantly in the rafters throughout the days, kind of like what WCW did, and just kind of watch over.
Yeah, that'd been fine.
And at one of the pay-per-views, I can't think of what ones they had back then, but let's say at one of the pay-per-views, it looks like Vince is going to try and cheat to beat WCW, and then kind of duplicate what they did now, where the crow cawed, and it goes dark. And then basically when the lights come back up, he's standing right in front of Vince with a bat. And if Vince tries to attack him, Scorpion death drops him and leaves.
Yeah.
That's it.
That'd been fine to not obviously, that would have been more like a good story to lead in to an Undertaker match. Months in advance. But not, obviously right off. But yeah, I think him moving in the rafters is a pretty decent idea.
Yeah, I just think it would be good to build it up and then basically him be the protector still.
Yeah.
DDP.
I would, but hell no to the stalker angle.
No. You know what I honestly would have done is I would have booked him against The Rock as the actual People's Champion match.
Yeah, that would have been fine. Bring him in with that. I think it was what I would have done is do it after him and the Booker T angle, because Booker T and that the Rock angle was awesome. It was a great start. It was great for Booker T. I don't obviously like when the Rock says, "Who are you?" I don't like that, but I think it will bring him in sometime after that angle. But yeah, obviously I said that stalker angle was terrible, and DDP still. Last I had heard from him, he blamed himself for that storyline. I was like, dude, that didn't fit for you. That would have been fit for somebody else if they would have done that at all. That was not a fit for him at all. It was terrible. And they repackaged him to being this motivation guy, always happy. They just didn't give him the right role in WWF at the time.
Yeah. And Goldberg. So for Goldberg, how would you introduce Goldberg?
It would have been fine for the invasion, I think. I mean, obviously, hard thing for us to do is I know that has been said for so long now is that they had the wrong guys in there for the invasion. Should have brought in the big stars. So if you're going to do that, then bring him in there with a couple other guys, have a better invasion. But if you're not going to do that, I think the way he came in there with against the Rock was fine, and some of his run was a little shaky. I wasn't a big fan of the run after that match, but except for the Brock Lesnar match at WrestleMania, I think they're trying to find ways to put him on TV, but they were trying too hard, and they didn't have the right stuff for him. But as far as how it would have done, if they wouldn't give me an invasion angle, then it was a good start with the Rock. So, yeah.
So here's how I kind of would have done it. I would have had, instead of Shane, I would have had Ric Flair as a representative for WCW. I thought that would have been better.
Yeah.
And what I would have done is Ric Flair would purposely set up matches to where he would just have WWF pick a guy, and WWF is like, well, you're going to tell us who's he going to face. And I'm like, no, that part's going to be surprised. It can be anybody. It can be anybody on my roster. And like, let's say first time it's Dwayne Gill. And then you all of a sudden you hear Goldberg's music hit, and it's now Goldberg walking out, squashes Gill, and like basically let WWF keep feeding Goldberg these random people that like Kai and Tai and other people that didn't have high rankings on the card, like Al Snow, just for Goldberg to plow through. And he just keeps doing this over and over again for months on end, to where it's basically Ric Flair is purposely keeping Goldberg away from the big people for the purpose of, I want to keep him safe kind of thing. I don't want him to be overused. But he always has an ace in the hole.
Yeah.
And then eventually lead up to, if I was going to put him against anybody for him to kind of beat and become a champion, it would probably be Triple H, but I would not let Triple H walk away with a win.
Yeah. Their storyline was fair, wasn't great, but yeah, if I was also to book Goldberg and that, if he was gonna be an invasion angle with all the big guys, it's fine. However, if not, I would also entertain the fact of keeping him as a special attraction. You know, as far as like kind of like to do Lesnar, but not that part time.
Right, and that was my whole purpose of having Ric Flair be the representative and kind of having as somebody like, will Goldberg show, will he not show kind of thing.
Yeah, that's fine too.
To where you don't advertise matches, you basically let, like, they had backstage things. He goes, okay, we have a match. That you're one of my guys versus one of your guys. Who are you going to have? He goes, oh, no, I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah.
He goes, okay, I'll put our best out there, and it ends up being Dwayne Gill, still doing the Gilbert thing. And, of course, then you hear Goldberg's music hit.
Yeah.
That was my idea.
That works too.
But that's the fantasy booking that I have for this.
We forgot National Hall.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I forgot about National Hall. Okay, so for Hall, I personally would put him up against The Rock. What would you do?
And
they would be NWO again.
Yeah, it would. The Rock's fine. Or I would go with Angle. Honestly, I mean, Angle would be a good fit. Maybe
I could see that. But I would kind of hinge it on the fact that Hall was a drinker and Angle's against that. If I was going to build a feud out of it,
that's fine. Yeah, I mean that's fine. If not Angle, then I'd even go Triple H. Honestly, for different reasons, but they had obviously a chemistry and they have a history too. I think I would like come back to the MSG incident to bring that up. I think that would be a good one. I would not book him to go face Austin at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would be for that. With Nash, if they're going to be, I would bring them in together honestly as the outsiders and bring them in as the invasion angle honestly, but maybe not tag team in that tag team division, but coming in there and do some destruction would be fine too. How about?
Yeah, I like them as a tag team. Hall, I would put more on independent matches by himself, singles matches. But Kevin Nash, I would kind of keep away from singles matches, and it's just to protect him more than anything else.
Yeah.
So if they put him as outsiders in a tag team feud, I would have him go against the Brothers of Destruction.
I'd also put Nash versus Test.
I like that idea. It's just neither one of them has very good in-ring skills, so that kind of scares me.
No, that's the downside. That is what I'm saying is I wouldn't do a long feud. I would just have
Actually, a good feud and in-ring would be him and Goldust.
That'd been a good fair fit too. Eventually,
because Goldust.
Eventually, you can do a rematch with Taker and Nash as well from WrestleMania. But Yeah, and Goldust would be good for it too, I think.
Well, Goldust would be able to carry him, is why.
Oh yeah, Goldust.
Well, and he did have that really good elimination chamber, but again, it was one of those where they barely used him.
Yeah.
And I think that is the only way you can kind of treat Nash is if you use him as kind of like a special attraction. That's why I think the tag team would be a better fit.
Yeah, I just would do a whole lot of tag team division stuff. I just, I mean, it's fine, but I wouldn't concentrate solely on that. But yeah, I definitely would bring him into.
Well, that would call it an episode. That was the review.
Hey, actually,
of Halloween.
Would you bring in Hulk Hogan in the invasion angle?
No.
Okay, that's all. I just want to know.
Would you?
Not right off the bat. Maybe it has been later on, a little bit later on.
If I would not bring him in as Hollywood Hogan.
No.
I get why they did it, but that was a horrible idea. If anything, if I was to bring Hulk Hogan, it would have to be a year or two in.
Mm-hmm.
And the purpose of it, I would really like to. I would build up Ric Flair basically in the invasion, and he takes over. And now he's running roughshod, and he's basically embarrassing all the WWF talent. That's what I would have done.
Well, also
so Vince would have to put his ego in the backseat for a while.
That's look better said than done.
Right. So Ric Flair is running roughshod. And basically, what I would have him do is basically tell Vince they could do the Ric Flair versus Vince match, and Ric Flair say, Vince, if you win, I'll face an opponent of your choice. So Vince cheats to win for whatever reason, how he does it, but he cheats to win, and he will say at the next pay-per-view, book it for WrestleMania. At the next pay-per-view, which will be WrestleMania, you're gonna face the opponent of my choice. And Ric Flair's just like, fine, I don't know who you can get. I have everyone here beside me. And then the Hulk Hogan's music hits. And the Hulk Hogan would come in as a face because WWF is all about if you're for the company, you're a face. Hulk Hogan comes in as a face, and Ric Flair now has to face a foe that he has to deal with in WCW, and he doesn't want to deal with them again.
And they can also fix their mishap they did back in 92, I think it was.
Right.
I think it's 92. They should have had Hogan play.
When they had Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan on their rolling roof and never took advantage.
91 or 90? That was 92, I think it was.
I think it was 92. It's whenever I can't think of the guy's name right now. The guy took over that wanted to make Ric Flair cut his hair and call him Spartacus.
Oh,
is it Jim Herd?
Jim Herd, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't Bill Watts. It would have had to have been Jim Herd.
Jim Herd. Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I would bring in Hulk Hogan because I think that's the only way you can do it. It would be a big nostalgia pop for him for everyone that remembers him as the red and yellow.
Yeah.
And I think building up Ric Flair versus Hulk Hogan in WWF in 2002, 2003 wouldn't have been bad.
One thing I would take away from Hogan, I'd take that damn scarf off him. I hated that scarf. Oh my god!
Yeah, he wouldn't have the feather boa anymore.
I hated that thing. It's like, take the damn thing off.
Yeah, but it was part of his Hollywood character.
Yeah, he went Hollywood. He was talking about his being a face. If you want to do that with Hollywood Hogan, that's one thing. If you want to do that with regular Hulk Hogan, take the scarf off. I couldn't stand that scarf. I really couldn't. Especially mainly when he was face. With heels, whatever. In your face.
Actually, I just changed my mind. I don't want to do it for WrestleMania. It will build to WrestleMania, but I want the first interaction to be a Survivor Series match. Team Flair versus Team Hogan / McMahon. And because the only reason is I want to see, I think it would be great to have Ric Flair try to gather people to help him, and no one wants to deal with Hulk Hogan. I think that would have been good. But then carry that into WrestleMania in a one-on-one capacity.
Survivor Series idea was